We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani.
I'm Danielle.
And we're back for another great day to answer your questions. I guess we've turned this into a week. The relationship Q&A questions has become a relationship Q&A week, and we're happy about that because we realize that there are concerns on your heart, questions that you have, struggles that you're going through, and we want to be able to help you through your situation.
I want to welcome you guys and ask you to make sure that you're liking, sharing, and subscribing. Share the message. All you newbies, make sure you're hitting that notification bell to make sure that you never miss a show. And we want to get into as many questions as we can because I can't believe we are rounding out the week. It's already Wednesday. So we're at the hump of the week, and soon we'll be already at Friday. So we want to make sure that you get all your questions answered. And I want to jump right to Delisa, who was kind of fixing what was said yesterday. We talked to her yesterday, and really what you were saying is that your husband wants to be able to take the lead and to take the initiative. He wants to be the man. He wants to be the head, right? And you're waiting on him to do so, and for you, it's taking too long, so you jump the gun. And it makes me think of one time we were out on a date night with a couple, and the check came, and the husband was going to get the bill, and he was just taking so long. I got Hassani's wallet right here, and he was just going. He was taking his time handling it, and I guess his wife got frustrated because what did she do, Hassani? It was kind of like that. And I felt bad. I understood because it was taking a very long time, and I understood her frustration, but at the same time, I felt so bad for him because he was trying to handle business, and everybody doesn't have the same pace. You know, some people just manage things slow. They need to process. They need to think things through. But in your comments, you said that he mentioned wanting to go to couples counseling back in, I think, February of 2020. And here we are in February 2021. So it's a whole year later. And now you have gone to counseling, circled your own 2 feet, and are working on you, hoping that he will hear, see, and do. And I think she's doing the right thing by that. I think, at the end of the day, sometimes we just ain't gonna do it. Some folks are just straight up procrastinators. And I think there's ways to get into dialogue and say, listen, remember, we said we were gonna go into counseling. Since you haven't done so, I have started, and try to find some way to nudge him to join you.
That's what deadlines are for. Listen, all right, you want to take the lead? Great. So by such and such a date, we are both agreeing that you are going to find such and such a person. Right. If it doesn't happen by that time, then guess what? I'm going to make it happen because that's just what I do, baby.
He's so extra. I hope that helps. I think you're doing the right thing, the best that you can right now. It's been a year, which to me, for all intents and purposes, is not that long, because I remember when Hassani and I needed to go to counseling, it was years that I was asking him to go to counseling. And not to belittle a year. I mean, a year is a year, and you have issues that need to get dealt with. I think you getting started with it was the best thing that you can do. Let me just welcome a few folks. Good morning. Oh, that just hopped. Y'all just jump in all the same time. Good morning, JG from Los Angeles, Max from Rhode Island, Dietrich from Baytown, Texas, Ralph from Ohio, Shalia from Arlington, Texas, JD, good morning, Yvonne, Noreen from Columbia, South Carolina, Didi. Everybody is just chiming in here. So let's jump to the next question, Hassani, if we can.
All right, we got a lot from yesterday. Here we go. JG, will there always be hurt and pain associated with cheating? I don't know how you're asking that. I'm kind of reading that 2 different ways. So the first way I'm reading it, if someone cheats, is there hurt and pain associated with it?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes. So, but if you're asking, will hurt and pain always be associated with the person who's been cheated on, I would say no, it doesn't have to be.
Right.
It depends upon that individual and the work they're willing to do. And at the end of the day, like some people, I remember working with a couple, and about 6 months in, I'm like, do you want to be stuck? And she was just like, to be honest, yes, I do want to be stuck. I'm not ready to heal. I'm not ready to move forward. I'm enjoying my spouse doing everything that they need to do to make me feel better. So, because you know what? Being unstuck means I've got to do some work and I don't want to do it. And right now, this is just where I'm at. And I was just like, well, man, well, thanks for being honest. At least we kind of knew, because I mean, we should have been a lot further by now. And so I think a lot of times people are just not willing to do the necessary work to get out of their hurt.
I agree. And I would also say that, yes, there will always be pain associated with infidelity, always. However, you know, you think about when you break up with somebody and your heart is broken, people often, before they heal, before they do the work to get healed, they will jump into another relationship. It's called the rebound relationship. And that rebound relationship kind of signifies your hurt, your pain, and your desperateness to feel something, to get grounded again, you know, to deal with all of the hurt and the pain that you never resolved. And so those relationships typically do not work. But then you actually heal from that. And when you're balanced and you're grounded again, you can actually choose properly. So yeah, there will be hurt associated with it. I think, to Hassani's point, getting yourself healthy, well, whole, restored as soon as possible, and not waiting on somebody else to give you permission to do that, is the fastest way to heal, so that you can move on to the next pitch in your relationship.
There it is.
We got a lot of people jumping in there. Hey, Miss Carlotta, I see you. Do you want to go to another?
Sure. Next question, Mrs. Jones says, how do you cope when your partner gets the info to heal but won't apply it? And really, it's just an extension of that. Like, that's the reality. How do you cope? It's kind of hard. It's hard to do. Like, they're getting the information, but what are they doing with it? You know, it makes me think about marketing. You know, one thing that we've learned in marketing is that you have to make a point of contact with a prospect 8 times before they begin to do something. Thinking about driving down the highway, you see these huge billboards that say something, they're selling something. And it's just like, it's there. And it's just like, I'm gonna go about my business. It takes them seeing that 8 times before even considering actually doing something that's consistent with what's being marketed on that billboard. Likewise, just humanity, not to say that you have to take 8 different attempts or a person has to go through something 8 times. That's just the principle, what I'm saying. But the point is, sometimes people aren't ready, and there needs to be things that get them ready. Within us, we have what we call the accelerator and the brake, right? The brake is what we push on to keep us from moving forward. And sometimes there's some things going on within us, our thoughts, our emotions, our circumstances, and we're putting the brakes on things. And there's other things that motivate us, which is like pushing the acceleration, the gas pedal within us that allows us to move forward. And sometimes it's about finding what is the source of the motivation? What is the resistance that someone's experiencing that's keeping them from wanting to do that healing process? Once you discover it, that could be the path to the restoration.
That's good. I got to acknowledge author Nicole Green. Thank you so much for this comment. She says, Nicole Green, Savannah, Georgia, thank you for your obedience and operating in your God-given gift. It is making a difference in my marriage and many marriages across the nation. She continues to say, live out your purpose to help and inspire others. Not only helps me with my marriage, but it also encourages me to use the gift of writing to change the world and leave a legacy. And that thing that really touches me, and I thank you for sharing that, because for Hassani and I, you know how people say, you're blessed to be a blessing. Well, we look at our marriage as being blessed to be a blessing. Our marriage was blessed. Our marriage was healed. Our marriage was restored so that we can bless, heal, and restore marriages across the nations. And we want to be that beacon of light. So we thank you for that comment, acknowledging that.
And hearing that, I just want to say, that gives us more of a desire and a drive and a tenacity and a stick-to-itiveness to do what it is that we do. So thank you, because sometimes you just don't know. You don't know if people are getting something out of it. And so that was an indication that you are.
And there's one more here. I won't skip King Poe, who says, good morning. And thank you very much, Couples Academy. I'm going through a bad breakup involving kids, and your videos inspire motivation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Sit down with your partner. Watch these videos together. Peel back the layers. There's so many nuggets in here. And guess what? You all are a part of the show. It's not just us. It's you. It's your comments. We see how you encourage one another. We see the side conversations. We hear the powerful questions. You are part of making the Couples Academy show what it is, and we want to thank you for that. Listen, you've been watching the Couples Academy show. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Welcome back, family. You're watching the Couples Academy show, and this is Relationship Q&A week, and we're going to jump right into the next question. It's from Ralph, and he says, how does the unfaithful partner help the betrayed spouse when they are going through triggers without hurting them more? You know what? A long time ago, I learned about something called sympathy or empathy training or sensitivity training when it came to different cultures. At the workplace, right? So we've got a whole lot of changes going in. Think about the LGBTQ community and how we're supposed to call their names and all these different things we don't understand or hadn't understood at that time. And so there was a whole sensitivity training course that took place on the workplace. And I think that that's a powerful way to look at how we need to express our understanding when our spouse is going through something. You know, when you're the hurt partner, those triggers are not voluntary. It's not like I'm deciding to hold this against you and today I'm going to have a trigger and explode all over you. Or, you know, it's not like we are looking to remember the hurt and the pain, but to have the sensitivity and understand what is a trigger. You know, if you are the offending partner, you should go get a book immediately that explains to you what triggers are, how they happen, how the brain is not designed to allow us to forget. As a matter of fact, the amygdala in the brain's job, one of its jobs, is to remind you of dangerous things. You think about all the experiences you've had in your life. You know, you've had your mother probably push you on a swing 1,000,000 times. You've probably had 1,000 hugs, but you don't remember those specific hugs. But the one time that your mom pushed you and you fell and busted your head, you remember that. The reason for that is because your brain is designed to cause you to remember scary, harmful, hurtful things to protect you. So your job as the offending partner is to learn as much as you can about triggers so that you can operate with knowledge according to your spouse.
I totally agree 1,000%. And let me just add on top of that right now, like just before we came on and as soon as we get off, we have an intensive with a couple in Austria. And one of the challenges is him not truly understanding the devastation of the affair. Because in essence, in his experience, he was having fun. So how could me enjoying myself and having a good time even be associated with this pain? So when I see you and you're crying and you're screaming and you're angry and you're emotionally reacting and acting out, I just don't get it. I don't see the connection here. And so I had to take him through a process for him to truly understand the devastation of his actions and how it impacted his spouse. And it was a video I showed him. And I may show that to you all tomorrow so that we can truly get an understanding of what it is. And I think until you truly know what it is that you've done, you may not be able to feel it because you didn't go through it. But certain examples and stories and visuals and things that you can reference gives you a better understanding to be able to feel. And once you have that level of understanding, it increases your level of empathy and compassion for your partner, which means that you show up completely different.
One more point, Worthy of Her Trust is a powerful book by Stephen Otterburn. It actually walks you through what it takes to, as the offending partner, and this is coming from for the male because it's worthy of her trust, how to regain trust and connecting with your spouse, and they deal with triggers a lot in that book. So that'd be a great option.
I just got a text from somebody who says, my marriage is on thin ice and I've been trying to figure out how to get my husband to counsel. What do I do? I don't know the particular situations, but I will say what I always say is that men and women are motivated by different things, and men oftentimes are motivated by the fear of loss. If you've been complaining and asking to go to counseling and you're diehard committed to this relationship and he knows that, he's just like, whatever. Like, I'll go when I feel like going, I'm not ready to go now. Or he'll make promises that he breaks because there are no consequences associated with him not doing something. But for you, if it becomes a non-negotiable, uncompromisingly, we are not moving forward unless we do this. Men are motivated by the fear of, I may lose my marriage, I may lose my family, all will be lost if I don't do. And a lot of times in that mode, there is a genuine change for many. You say, man, I got to take us to the point of almost ending this for you to finally wake up. Well, unfortunately for a lot of us, that's exactly what it takes. And so sometimes you just have to be strong in your positioning, uncompromising, that if you, because I'm not staying in this for you to show up the same way, for me to show up the same way, for us to have what we've always had. We want something completely different. We got to do something different. And doing more of the same is going to get us more of the same. And so I'm done with that. And this is the only pathway to get us to a better place. So either you with it or you ain't.
I mean, what else is there to say? Let's go to this comment here from A. Mona Lisa. He feels I am wrong because I ask who all in the family know about his other relationships. I feel him not telling me is still him holding on to secrets, and I cannot handle any secrets of any kind. I think that oftentimes the offending partner makes the big mistake of thinking that they are protecting their spouse from the truth in the efforts to keep the marriage together. Even when they've turned around, right? Even when they've said, I'm not going to do this anymore, they won't completely come clean because they think that you can't handle it. What they don't understand is that by doing that, it causes a bigger bridge to cross with the trust, because now you're still withholding. Even when I know about the affair, you're holding out secrets, you're holding out details. You have got to come completely clean. After an affair, you do not have the right to hold on to any details, because the more details you hold on to, the less your spouse is going to be able to open back up to you. And that's what you really want, is for them to be able to have that intimate connection. And they can't do that if you're still holding on to details.
They will question your motive and your intent. Like, why are you holding on to this? What are you keeping from me? So they're waiting and anticipating for the ball to drop or the shoe to drop.
Right.
Or the bone of the
what's next?
That come out the
What's
closet.
next?
They're
Yeah.
always waiting for more. And so you're contributing to their insecurity and their inability to trust. You're actually employing them not to trust you. So if you want them to trust you, be transparent. So the key to trust is transparency. All right, let's go to the next question. Megan Livingston says, what do you do when you think you have no right to be triggered? That is your issue, and they shouldn't have to deal with your emotions.
Well, now, I think we kind of answered that.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, that person needs to understand. A lot of times this is ignorance. First of all, a lot of times the way we handle relationships in general is based in ignorance. I mean, you went to school to get your degree to do whatever your profession is. Nobody is going to marriage school unless you come into the couples academy, of course, right? But I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. So here you are making judgments about you shouldn't be triggered. You should be over it by now. Like, it doesn't take this long. Nobody can give you a template for how long it's going to take you to heal. What needs to happen is understanding, sympathy, and empathy. And that would require that person learning what triggers really are and how the brain operates so that they have that sensitivity towards you.
Megan says, oh my God, thank you. My partner does not understand how badly his online cheating has hurt me. He thinks it's harmless, fun, and has repeatedly lied and deceived me to hide his behavior. So whether online or offline, it is betrayal, it is a devastation, it is a breach of trust. You've given your heart, your mind, or your social engagement to someone else other than your spouse without your spouse knowing. It is deception. It is crushing. And the recovery process is no different than if there was an offline relationship that became physical. So do not undermine, do not minimize, do not trivialize what you've done to make yourself look good and feel good. But consider the pain that your spouse is going through and be willing to do the work to help transform your life, their life, and your relationship. Listen, guys, we got one more segment. We'll be right back. We have a whole lot more questions ready to continue to dig in. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Sign up today for the Better Marriage Club and receive exclusive access to the private Facebook group to get your questions answered and your problems solved. Access to our marriage library of live seminars. Watch the Couples Academy Daily Show. Call the help hotline for laser coaching. Get our weekly action guides and receive a private one-on-one call with one of our marriage coaches. To join the Better Marriage Club, simply text MARRIAGE to 973-490-4668. Join today. Your marriage deserves it.
Hey guys, we're back. Last segment. Listen, I want to quickly go to some of these comments we have from Tiffany Wilkerson. I received my book in the mail last night, The Audacity of Marriage. Can't wait to read it. Listen, you are going to love it. And remember, read it with your partner if you can. Go go chapter by chapter. And someone once taught me, like I had 2 mentors in my life. One said, listen, read 1 book a month, because at the end of a year, when the average person would have read 1, you would have read 12. Then I had another mentor who said, you know what? You read a lot of books, Asani, but why don't you experience the book? Meaning read, pause, implement. Then read a little bit more, then pause, then implement. By doing it that way, it begins to stick and you begin to embody the message. And so that's what I would highly recommend you and your partner do. And if you do, you will have a marriage that you no longer recognize. Let's go to the next question here. Ralph Welsh, is there anything the unfaithful can do to help the hurt
I think we read that one.
Oh, did we do that?
Yeah, we did.
My bad.
But I got one here if you want me to jump to this one. Misty's saying, home with kids after they were born spanned 5 years and 3 kids he had affair. Didn't feel like the man or needed, but now all kids are in school and affair discovered. He wants to be the head. I find it hard to follow. I mean, I can understand that because there's like two things going on here. There's the frustration that a wife experiences just being a mother, and that stress is also a stress on the husband as well, but it's a different kind of a stress. But a lot of times the weight is on us, and so we're focused on raising kids and handling the house and all that stuff a lot of times, because whether you're working or you're home, most of the work usually falls on the wife to just manage home, children, and the life part of it, right? Meanwhile, he's off having an affair. It's very difficult after that to follow your husband, because what are you following? You're following infidelity. You're following lies. You're following a lack of security. You're following somebody who has caused you to feel worthless and unworthy. So it's very difficult to follow that. It's at this point, it's counseling time. I mean, what else is there to say? Yeah. It's counseling time. If the marriage is worth fighting for, if you're still in that position where you want your marriage, get yourself into some strong counseling. And if he's not willing to go, get yourself by yourself into some strong counseling.
Yeah, I think a lot of times the unfaithful partner really lacks understanding and sensitivity to where your spouse is. Let's just say you are a prick during the whole process, and then all of a sudden you have a divine revelation and transformation, and you now become this amazing individual. You think that your spouse is supposed to travel at the same speed and pace that you have, and it doesn't necessarily work like that. And so you get frustrated because you're like, I'm doing all the right things. I'm showing up the right way. Don't you see me doing this? Don't you see me doing that? And you may be. And if you are, continue to do it, because guess what? When you're sowing seeds, you got to sow more seeds to produce a harvest. And it requires time and consistency. And because when you start doing the right thing at first, they don't even believe it. They question it. What is the motive? What's the angle? What's the agenda? How long is this going to last? Is this going to be another rerun
Exactly.
situation?
How long is this going to last? That's such a big one, because you're looking at the person's cycles. You know, we see you 360 degrees around, and just because you said it again doesn't mean all of a sudden I'm going to have a heart change. That takes time, and it takes me being a witness to your life and seeing, okay, there's a real change here. This is no longer the same person. And when we work with couples, we hear couples say that all the time. Like, you hear me say it all the time. You wouldn't even believe how this person has changed. They're a completely different person. I have a completely different husband or wife. And still, when you have a completely different spouse, especially when they were the affair, the unfaithful partner, you still have the struggle of forgiving, which leads to the next question, if we can jump to the next one. Okay. So Ty G says, oh my God, I really appreciate that answer in regards to triggers. My spouse and his family just wants me to let it go. Like, I'm really affected by things. I'm just finding out. Please give me time to heal. And here's the thing. Even when you're in the process of recovery and you are actually doing the work as a couple, and your spouse who is unfaithful to you is doing everything, crossing every T, dotting every I, you will still go through the phases of recovery, which include pain, which include triggers. I say it all the time. When you get burned down past the nerves, your nerves are burned. That's how come you feel pain. If somebody sticks you with a pin, you feel pain because of your nerves. But if your nerves are burnt off, you no longer feel pain. But during the healing process, the most excruciating pain is during the healing process. And that just has to be understood by the unfaithful spouse who wants to just be like, pew, and wants you to heal and wants to get as far away from what they've done as possible.
That's a powerful point. You raced through that. Let's pause on that.
Okay.
You're saying you're saying when you heal, that's the most painful part, because your nerves are being restored and you begin to feel all the pain in your healing.
Right. As a matter of fact, folks die from recovering from the burns because the burns are so bad, right? You've been burnt down to flesh and there's all the skin grafting and things of that nature. But while you're healing and while your body is regenerating, the most excruciating pain. And that is a great narrative to relate to how we recover from infidelity, because even though, first of all, when infidelity happens, it's like an explosion and you're in shock and awe. Have you ever watched a movie and like a bomb blows up and the person that hears like, boo, and like everything is crazy, your ears are ringing, and it's like you're just lost in the sauce. That's what it feels like to experience an affair. You are in shock, shell shock, right? And how do you respond to shell shock? Do you begin to suppress it, right? Do you shut down so that you can function and pick up the pieces? Do you continue taking care of the kids and having sex with your spouse and doing all the things that you would do, numb? Or do you have hyperarousal? Are you scared? Are you nervous? These are the things that happen in the course of that healing process, and we're not understanding it as the unfaithful partner. We're just thinking, I'm going to go to some counseling, I'm going to tell the truth, I'm going to let it all out, and I feel great because I feel like I just birthed the baby because I done came clean. Because think about the one who was unfaithful, all those years of lying, carrying the burden of the stories and the tales and the web that they've weaved around them. And even though finding out was destructive, it's also cleansing for them because they get to let it all out. They get to birth that lie baby they've been carrying for all that time. Meanwhile, the hurt partner has to deal with it. It's new to them. They're shell shocked now.
So you're in pain. But that's a part of your healing. So your hurt is a part of your healing.
Yes.
That's important for the hurt partner to understand, and that's important for the unfaithful partner to understand, because sometimes
sensitivity
all you see
training
and feel and experience is hurt, and you think things aren't getting better, but actually things are.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily feel like it, but you're on your pathway to healing. That
yes, Kia.
is worth a pause.
Kia says yes, PISD. That's what it is, and we call it PTSD, PISD, post-infidelity stress disorder, which is getting a lot of recognition.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So kind of, for you men out there who go to the gym and work out and you're lifting weights, you know how you go hard and then the next day or so you're like in all this pain. But you're in the pain, but your muscles are growing and developing and getting stronger. As they say, no pain, no gain. And so maybe that helps you to better understand what she just comprehensively broke down about the healing process and what you physically go through.
Yeah, and guys, listen, we're wrapping up this show, and I can't believe how fast this time goes by, but we got another day coming tomorrow. But yesterday, you guys talked about that sex, intimacy, masterclass that we want to create for you. We're going to call it Sex After Betrayal. Sex After Betrayal. We're working on the details of that, so keep an eye out. We're expecting y'all to fill in that masterclass. You know why? Because in addition to dealing with the rigors of life after an affair, and even when you are going through a recovery process, you still have to perform as a husband and wife. You know, sex is a main part of being married. It is necessary. It is required. So how do you pick up the pieces with that and feel good? Sex without intimacy feels like rape. TD Jakes said that a long time ago, and he was not a liar when he said it. It's so true. So we want to help you with that. Just keep your eyes open. We're going to come with that very soon.
And what I want you to do right now, you're watching it, whether you're watching it live or on the replay, I want you to post your question. Like, if you could show up to this masterclass and have one question answered, one issue discussed, what would that one thing be? Because we want to make sure that we take the time in that masterclass to give you exactly what you need. Listen, guys, I hope you're getting something out of this. This is getting gooder and gooder and gooder.
And gooder.
I don't know if that's a word, but I just,
it is a word.
Every time I sit here next to you and I hear you
gooder and gooder
and do your thing, I'm like, man.
If you would just get out the way, let me just,
It ain't all that. It ain't all. You good, but you ain't that good. See, that's the problem. You get.
Excuse me.
Listen, guys, she's crazy, but I love her.
I am.
You're listening. You're listening.
He can't even handle himself around me. See what I do to him?
You're watching the Couples Academy Show. We will see you tomorrow for another great episode.
All right, guys. Bye.
If you would like to be a guest on our show, or if you're interested in one of our restoration programs, contact us today at couplesacademy.org.